Hey there, my friends. So let us in today's video discuss how you can move out of a breakup really fast using the wall of assumption. Because honestly, it is not necessary at all to spend times self-condemnating, self-criticizing yourself, and just suffering enormously because you cannot let go from that person who hasn't chosen you. And this is what we tend to do when we are not aware of how the wall of assumption works and how we can apply it to move out of a breakup, realizing that we are the ones we created it for ourselves, so that we can eventually get to the conclusion that I am already in a relationship with myself. And that being the case, nobody could say anything to the contrary. Nobody could say that I am not chosen because I have already chosen myself. Ultimately, this is the realization that you reach. But before integrating it within yourself and like being able to state something like that with confidence, with absolute certainty, knowing it to be the case, knowing it to be true, you pass through a couple of stages of like using self-love, the practice of self-love and self-concept to reach that state of absolute acceptance of the breakup so that you can heal your heart and move on either to the next stage of that relationship with the person with whom you have broken up or attracting somebody who is like much better fit for you. So if this is something interesting for you, my friend, stay with me until the end of the video, because through the story I'll share and through some of the practices I'll share, you realize exactly how you can move from breakup really fast, how you can heal your heart and move from breakup really fast. That being the case, let's directly begin. Hey there, I'm Daniel, your host from the Soulful Relationships channel. And by the way, if you're new to the channel and if you have the intention of experiencing and attracting only conscious, uplifting, and meaningful relationships, subscribe to the channel, because through the wall of assumption and many other different metaphysical tools, this is exactly what this channel is focused on, to help you experience the best relationships you would want from your life. So if this is something that you value, subscribe to the channel and I would love to see you around. Now, what is the biggest roadblock that stays in the way of and restricts us from allowing ourselves to really let go of the person with whom we have broken up with, no matter if this is a friends with benefits relationship, if this is your husband with whom you have been together for 10 years, if this has been your boyfriend or like your girlfriend with whom you have been dating for a couple of months, let's say. Doesn't matter exactly what the situation is. But if you were to ask the question, why it is so hard for us to let go and move forward in our romantic life? Well, the reason for that is because we stay stuck in like really negative and self-condemnating inner conversations we have with ourselves about what happened. So we consistently repeat the same stories, and those stories are something like, I haven't been chosen, I've not been good enough for this person, maybe I will never attract somebody who is better for me, maybe this has been the best relationship I've ever attracted and nobody else will come into my life who will show me what I deserve, I'm not good enough, I don't deserve love. We're stuck in these stories. And this generally, if we go deeper actually, it happens because most of us have unhealed childhood trauma that we haven't taken responsibility of, and that's why sometimes it takes us 1 month or like 2 months or 3 months to heal from a breakup. This has been the case for me previously, until I realized I can, through self-acceptance and self-love, I can change the concept I have of why this breakup even happened in the first place. And by doing that, I can move through it in days, in weeks at most, instead of wasting like months of crying out and like condemnating myself that I did something wrong to lose that person. But so how does that happen? Because ultimately there are two stages. The first one is self-love and the second is working with self-concept. And I'll explain both of them through a story that I'll share. So I'll share the story of like my first relationship in which I could call a relationship, which was a little longer, and like we were living together with my partner, and it was like, yeah, we were sharing our lives together. So we were together for 4 or 5 months. I became really attached to that person, and I started sacrificing myself and abandoning myself to always please them. Eventually, I started losing friends. I started losing my passions. We were spending 16 out of 24 hours per day, like per day-night cycle together. And so I was mostly living my life for them, to please them, which wasn't healthy at all. Eventually, I started feeling suffocated. But back then, I didn't have the courage to speak up. I didn't have the courage to say that I need space. I didn't want to hurt my partner. And so I just decided to withdraw my love and attention little by little so that I can make her break up with me. But which I know sounds really manipulative, but this is what I was able to come up with like 5 to 6 years ago when I've had this experience. And so the strangest thing was that eventually my strategy worked. 1 month passed and she broke up with me. But at that time, I felt betrayed, disappointed, abandoned. I felt really disgusting. And like in that moment, I recalled that to myself that 1 month ago, I decided to embark with this strategy, to go forward with this strategy, to withdraw my love and affection for her and attention that I was giving her so that she can make that decision to break up with me so that I'm not the bad guy, right? And so I remembered how I made that goal for myself. And now that my goal was fulfilled, I found myself feeling abandoned, betrayed, and disappointed. And it made no sense. And so I was suffering for a while, for a couple of days. But then eventually, I realized, okay, I could either suffer or I could just fully surrender, allow myself to fully accept the feelings of love, of loss. And this is where the self-love comes in. Because self-love is ultimately self-acceptance. It is basically the ability to give yourself permission to experience whatever you're going through on the inside, to experience all those feelings, to suffer really deeply, really intensely, but for a couple of days. Not suffer on the surface just a little bit and not willing able to accept the loss you have experienced, and so perpetuate that loss so that you experience it for like 2 or 3 months, and not just go through it intensely for 1 or 2 or 3 days or a week maximum. So this is where the self-love comes. The self-love is basically the understanding that I deserve to be loved. Ultimately, I love myself. I know that I deserve a partner. And it's like, I am good enough for a partner. I know what love I deserve in my life. I know I have a vision of who I want to attract. And if this person wasn't fitting my vision, then it's not in my benefit to sacrifice myself and basically to abandon myself for somebody who is not fitting in my vision. So I deserve to be loved. And that's why it's okay for me to suffer the loss, to accept the loss of this person, because I know that somebody who is good, who is even better for me will come. It's the understanding of this kind of affirmations that you can say to yourself. But with these affirmations comes the ability for you to accept this feeling of loss as intensely and as fully as you can, and to let it be there and let it go. Instead of resisting it and like criticizing yourself and condemning yourself that you did something wrong and you were not chosen and you should have done better to keep that person in your life. No, instead of doing that, by self-love, you affirm to yourself, I deserve to be loved. And if this person didn't love me or they decided to stop loving me, I know I deserve something better. I can create within myself a vision of what I want, and I can commit myself to that vision, because I know ultimately that I am always here for myself, right? Like your awareness is always here for yourself. I can take care of myself. This is where the self-love comes in. And with self-love comes self-acceptance. Again, allowing yourself to experience all those feelings. And so this is what I did. But I did it for 3 days. I basically suffered really deeply, really intense. It was really painful. But this is what you need to do if you want to let go and move on fast. And this is how you use the wall of assumption. You affirm to yourself that you deserve to be loved. And that's why you can allow those experiences of loss to pass through your body, to experience them, to let them go, instead of entertaining them for months and condemning yourself and criticizing yourself that you did something wrong and you are not chosen. Instead, no, you don't do that. Instead of that, you just accept the feelings of loss, because you know that by accepting them, you're able to let them go. And by letting them go, you're now able to move into the self-concept part. Now, what is the self-concept part? The self-concept part is basically your ability to completely recontextualize the reason of why you've experienced that breakup. And now you have to recontextualize it in such a way that you become responsible for it. So maybe something, now stay with me, and if you want, contemplate with me this to see if it makes sense for you. Maybe something in the lines of, I attracted to myself this breakup to realize what I don't want so that I can become more committed to what I want from my relationship. And so this has been a gift in disguise. This breakup is something that I attracted for myself so that I learn I can choose myself and I can choose a vision of what I want. And if I didn't attract that breakup, I would have always compromised my values and my vision for something that maybe isn't that good enough, maybe isn't good enough for myself, but at least it's something. And so that's why I attracted this breakup, to understand that I deserve better. So this breakup has been there to help me awaken. And this is exactly what happened with myself in this story that I was sharing with you. Like for 2 or 3 days, I allowed myself to suffer as intensely as I could. And then by the end of that, I was just contemplating, okay, how can I have a goal of like wanting more space and wanting this breakup and then feeling betrayed and abandoned from it? It didn't make sense. And then eventually, by contemplating further and allowing myself to experience all these feelings of loss, a voice in the back of my awareness started speaking to me. And it said something like, well, do you know who you are? Who are you really? Like, do you know who you are if you have a goal? And when your goal is fulfilled, you feel disappointed and betrayed and abandoned. It doesn't make sense, right? So maybe if something like that is possible, you have no clue who you are. And if not only you don't have clue of who you are, but if you don't know who you are, how could you know what you want from your relationships, right? Because this was the most codependent relationship I've experienced in my life, basically. And so I realized I don't want a codependent relationship after that. And then I made a vision of what I want. And then the partners, actually I was closed for dating for a while. But after that, I had a vision of what I want. And then the partners who started appearing in my life, they were now in alignment with that vision. So they were the specific persons I was attracting to myself were in alignment to that vision of what I created. And now it's like life is always showing me better and better versions of people who are a right fit for me, because the more I become connected to myself and I have this understanding that, which is something that again you realize, is that this understanding is the fact that I am already in a relationship with myself. Like, this is already the case. I cannot fight with it. This has always been the case since the moment I was born. I am always here for me. I can always care for myself. I am there for me. I don't need anybody. But if I wanted to be in a relationship, I don't want to be in a relationship just so that I don't feel alone. No, I want to be in a relationship to provide value for the other and so that we can grow together. But this can only happen when I fully accept the fact that I don't need anybody, because I'm already in a relationship with myself. And just take a moment to let this sink in your mind, because it's like you cannot fight with it. This is already the case. You are already here being in a relationship with yourself. The I am that I'm speaking about, this is your unconditioned awareness of being, presence awareness. So from that state, you're already in a relationship with your identity, with your being, with who you are, with who you think you are. From your awareness, you are already having a relationship with who you think you are. And like, the better that relationship is, the more healthy, the more fulfilling it is, the relationship you have with yourself, exactly the same relationship you attract with other people in your life, because they're a reflection. And this is again where the self concept work comes in, like changing your self concept, changing the story you have of that breakup, from something like I wasn't chosen, I wasn't good enough, maybe I don't deserve love, to something like I attracted this breakup to myself to understand what I don't want, so that by having this understanding of what I don't want, I can become clear on what I want from my relationship, and then become in a relationship, like accept the fact that I'm already in a relationship with myself, and give to myself what I want my specific person to give to me. And so after accepting that for myself, like the next month, I became really committed on like reading, on self-development, on connecting to my visions. And what happened actually, it's funny, but then 1 month after doing that, then the person I broke up with came back to me. And so we continued our relationship, but now we had a different standard. And so eventually we were together for 4 months more, and things weren't working out because she was not committed to her like self-development. And after that, I've gone through a process of completely closing myself up to relationships, because I wanted to develop this relationship with myself deeper. But so this is what it takes for you to heal fast. Like to heal your heart fast from a breakup, first you need to allow yourself to experience, because you know that by loving yourself, it is okay to allow yourself to suffer, to experience the feelings of loss. But if you do that, do it intensely, do it as deep as you could. Don't don't extend that to like accepting those feelings for a couple of months and suffering little by little. No, just accept them for a couple of days, suffer as deeply as you could, and then once you do that, change completely, recontextualize the story you have of why you attracted that breakup, to something like, I am the creator of my reality, I created that for myself, to know what I don't want, so I can become more clear of what I want. To understand ultimately that I'm always in a relationship with myself, so there is nothing I could lose. I have already chosen myself. I've created for myself this breakup so that I can connect to myself even greatly, even more deeply, and I can connect to my boundaries and needs and become transparent with them, so on and so forth. This is how you use the self-concept. And by doing these two parts, self-love and self-concept, by working on those two, you can fully let go of the feelings of loss after a breakup for days, maximum a week. You don't need to suffer for months. This is all that's required, my friend. But it takes courage to go deep within yourself and to let go. And so I highly encourage you to try that if you're going through a breakup or something like that. And also, if you find yourself that you consistently experience the same patterns in your relationships and you attract the same kind of person who maybe isn't caring for you, who isn't taking you seriously, who isn't emotionally available, who isn't able to commit to being with you, and if you want to completely resolve those patterns, working on a deeper level, basically healing and accepting this inner child of yours, and if you think that you need help with that and you're finding these videos valuable, you can check out the free training I have, in which you understand what are the 3 phases you pass through until healing this inner child of yours and surrounding yourself only by conscious, uplifting, and meaningful relationships, which will make it so much easier for you to choose a partner with whom you can experience a long-term, healthy, romantic partnership together. So if you want to check out this training, check it out below. You can register for it. It's on demand. You can start watching it right now. It's like 2 hours long. And after going through it, if you're looking to work with somebody personally who can guide you through this journey, so that within the next 3 to 4 months, you can attract the partner of your dreams and surround yourself with people who support and lift you up, you can also schedule a call with me after going through a training, and I would love to help you out with that. That being the case, my friend, this has been everything I wanted to share in this video. So if you found it valuable, and if you're willing to apply the things inside of it, like it, comment down below, let me know what's your experience working with the wall of assumption and going through breakups. For me personally, now I just accept my relationships as being a flow and being a flow, meaning that I consistently attract people from whom I learn so that I can better get a better understanding of who I want to be in a long-term partnership with. But I am not attached to any person. I am attached to my vision, and this vision of mine is operating. It's like it's orchestrating my romantic life, which makes it so much more beautiful because I'm able to develop so really deep, emotionally deep and transparent relationships with the women that I date, and it's so beautiful because I'm being patient with it. Like I'm not trying to force it because I understand that I am in a relationship with myself, and if I just commit on that, everything else will just follow. And this is what is happening with every relationship that I'm attracting in this flow. I'm finding better and better partners, and it's so beautiful because ultimately I don't know with whom I will have a long-term partnership with, but I'm getting a better understanding of what it is exactly that I want for my romantic relationships. But again, my friend, for you to be able to experience something like that and have a long-term romantic relationship with your ideal partner, first you need to develop that relationship with yourself. And for you to do that, you need to learn. You need to heal your heart and learn consistently from the breakups you've already experienced. So if you need help with that, again, apply the things in this video, and I would love to see you around in the channel. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for staying with me. I trust you found this video to be helpful. If you're new to the channel, subscribe to it, and I would love to see you around. Thank you so much. See you, my friend. Bye-bye for now.